Okay, everyone. So, for this episode, I wanted to talk about regret. Because regret is something that impacts a lot of people and they don't realize it because oftentimes they'll act out of fear. Fear is a very powerful thing. A good chunk of our society runs on it. Fear of inadequacy, fear of not being loved, which is an extension of inadequacy, fear of loss, fear of rejection, and in the end, it's very easy to maintain a lifestyle when you build a wall of fear. When you build a wall of fear, you start to create a personality and identity based on things that you think logically make sense, but ultimately the foundation is fear. And it starts to affect not just your identity, but the way you communicate and ultimately your relationship integrity. And as a feedback loop, thinking in systems again, it starts to affect you because your communication, relationships, feedback to your value, it creates this cyclical effect. Unless you're just really full of your fear and identity and just your beliefs that you just are really blind to what's happening around you. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because 2 years ago, after coming back from San Francisco, having worked in San Francisco for a year in the tech industry, building up my UX career, coming back, not long after I arrived, my grandma was diagnosed with cancer, but it was really, really far in to the point to even if they tried to cure her, even with all the cures that we tried to give her, it was really just a matter of time. And so I believe around a month or so later, she passed away. I rapidly created some videos to memorialize her, not just for the family, but for the global family of the Desierto clan, which is very massive. It's not a common last name, but there's a lot of Filipinos with that last name, and they are technically a part of my grandma and my family's clan. Now, my grandma was very popular. The home that my dad and his siblings, my grandma, they grew up in a home that actually acted as a hub for all family and friends in the community. So my grandma was very popular. When she left the Philippines and came to the US, she was still popular. She loved socializing, she loved meeting people, she loved getting to know them. She didn't speak English, but she tried to give off a sense of welcoming as much as she could. My grandma has a lot of thoughts and feelings that she doesn't always share. And one of the biggest challenges I had with my grandma is the language barrier. It is a sad and regrettable, and one of the only regrets I have is that even though I tried my best to communicate with my grandma, no matter how many stories she told, and I spent a lot of time with her growing up, I never was able to execute on spending time with her beyond just being at home and her taking care of the house and her cooking for us. And I feel like that was a wasted opportunity on my part because I didn't know the language enough to be comfortable to invite her out to do watching movies, going to the theaters, the stuff that she used to do in the Philippines freely with my cousins. And that was a regret that I knew that I would have to carry with myself for forever. My sister knew the language better than me because she watched a lot of Filipino dramas on television. So if anything, my sister had, towards the end of my grandma's life, she had the easiest time communicating with my grandma. But what's unfortunate is the fact that my grandma favored me. She made that evident, whether to my sister or family, whichever. And I thought that was such a tragedy on my part because if I am so favored, why couldn't I have created a more enriched life for my grandma? So it has that double-edged sword of favoritism because I do honor the honors that are given to me. Like, I really appreciate that. And now, that story aside, what I want to convey to all of you, my friends and my family out there, and those who are just wandering into my videos, try to live a life without regret. Do it out of love. If you have something that you do with the purest sense of love and creativity and warmth, try to work towards it, try to make it come to life. I'm not saying that you should, you really need to look at whether or not your sense of love is pure, that it is truthful, that it has integrity. Because if any of your action is fueled by some sense of insecurity or fear, that'll compromise the effect that you have with trying to execute on an action of love, whether that's spending time with family, friends, investing in yourself, trying to improve yourself, going out to the gym, or growing your career. Do it out of love as thoroughly and consistently as possible, because that effect will create something amazing. It may take time, but you have to believe in yourself, and assuming you have that support around you, work towards that. And in the end, you will have something that could have been a wall of fear to a house of love. And you don't need to believe in a religion, you just have to believe in yourself, that you deserve that love, and that you can work towards it, and that you can achieve it, and that you can build it. And sometimes that can be a risk. Sometimes you have to sacrifice things that you thought you loved, but were only things out of fear. You have to weigh, you have to balance those things. And I encourage you to take a look at your life around you and really feel, am I building a life full of fear, or that is based on what I thought was love, but it's actually fear? Or is it truly with a pure sense of self-respect, integrity, and love? So that's it for now. For Hourglass, this is JB, and I'll catch you guys next week. Take care.